Hello and welcome to the All Things Horror podcast with me, Amazon best-selling horror author and horror fanatic, Rick Wood, where me and my guests discuss all things horror. Coming up on today's show.
Things go missing, spoons go missing, lights flickering. I saw a woman sitting on my kitchen chair. So there was never like, these zombies can run or these can go fast. It was a complete mix.
Welcome back to the All Things Horror podcast with me, Rick Wood. And we have the second part of my cracking interview with zombie, paranormal and vampire dystopian author Steven Jenkins. So, without further ado, here it is. Final one. Have you ever had a personal horror experience?
I'm a big fan of ghosts. I'm a skeptical person. Even though I'm a sort of a believer, I'm a skeptical person.
Yeah.
In a way that when someone tells me a story, unless I was witnessed it myself, I do think, I know there's about 1 million reasons that could have caused that, you know. But I did have something happen in my previous house where I was to live with my wife. And it was the basis of 14 Days, my first book.
Okay.
Now, 14 Days is a murder mystery ghost story, like a lot of ghost stories. There's no murder mystery to my thing. That was just obviously made up. But I used to have this house, and it was a terrace house, in the middle of the street. No front garden, quite small, very big street. There's nothing creepy about the street, nothing creepy about the house. But I used to spend, I spent a lot of time in the day there. I used to work in the evenings. My wife was out. So in the days, not a particularly creepy time, but for some, I used to hear so many noises. Things go missing, spoons go missing, lights flickering, hearing the door open, and then nobody's coming home, hearing footsteps. Now, being sort of cynical and skeptical, I assumed it was just echoes from next door and things like that. But then one summer afternoon, this is about 5 years ago, I say loosely, I say 70% then, I saw a woman sitting on my kitchen chair and dressed in like a cream top with a brown tie and a brown skirt and a brown hat, something like a wartime sort of the navy, I'm not sure of the colours. And it was a summer afternoon, so it wasn't even a creepy time of the night where I was more susceptible to sort of seeing things. And I swear I saw something. But I am, again, I'd say 70% because I know my eyes plays tricks, but that was the basis for my novel 14 Days, the woman on the chair. Things happen in the day, because in the story, most of the things happen when the wife's at work and he's stuck in the house for 14 days. And if something creepy about the day, because the night is already creepy, but if the day is creepy, then there's nowhere to run, There's nowhere to hide. And I've always kind of liked that,
Interesting. So you kind of believe it but don't believe it at the same time.
Yeah, I kind of want to believe it.
Yeah.
But I am fascinated with ghosts. Anything that scares me really. I'm fascinated with spiders. I'm scared of spiders, and I've got lots of books on spiders. Anything that creeps me out, I'm a big fan.
Let's talk a bit more about your books then. So, Burning Dead. What I really liked about Burning Dead is that often when you watch a zombie film, you have to watch the process of zombies coming about and people not knowing what they are, and you've seen it a million times. Yours kind of starts after the kind of apocalypse in a way has hit and they've reassembled society, and it's about a guy who burns the zombies. Was that a deliberate choice?
Do you know what it is? As a writer, I like writing zombies, and it's quite hard. I like to write like in a sort of real world. So if zombies did take over, this is what it would be like. If vampires are real and such and such, I find it quite hard. How many chapters would it take to convince somebody that a zombie was real?
Yeah.
It would take a lot. So it's a little bit easier when it's already established. But I kind of like the idea that society had moved on. They're still scared of them, but they're no more than wild animals that, if they're kept away, you're not going to be a problem. But if they manage to sort of infest your neighbourhood, then the authorities would come in, cordon off everything, but life does go on, and I made sure I kept the apocalyptic side of it out, because I like, there was always a thought, oh, maybe the fourth book that maybe they take over, but then there's a million of those books, and nothing wrong with those books, but I was trying to do something a little bit different, that society, you could totally live your life, and if you always knew the zombies existed, you wouldn't be scared of them unless they were attacking you. Like, I know a lion exists, so but yet I'm not scared of them. Then I'm not scared they exist. Or sharks, sharks better example. But if I'm face to face with one, I'd be scared and I'd be killed. But I found it fascinating to as if a society would still go on, even if something extraordinary happened, and they would have this unit.
Which is a new spin on it. I mean, why wouldn't society find a way to do it? I'm sure the government must have a zombie apocalypse plan in place just in case.
I think it would be quite difficult in my book, because they can run. In my story, they can run, they walk. Some of them don't even get up. I made sure that they didn't act like there wasn't a flat rule for everybody. So it all depended on the horse. If you were bitten and you died, it wouldn't. Maybe you'd be able to run as a zombie, or maybe you'd be able to walk around. Or some people in the bitten never got up at all. So there was never like, these zombies can run or these can go fast. It was a complete mix. And I kind of I didn't think that had been done before. Maybe it has, there's so many books out there, but that's the sort of the most original thing I could think of when it came to zombies. And the fact you got to burn them, you can't kill them.
Cool. And of course you stretched out as well to ghost novels and vampire dystopian novels as well. Why did you decide to stretch out then and kind of go away from zombies and go toward ghosts and vampires?
Like I said earlier, a break from zombies. I write at my best when I get excited, and if I'm doing something all the time, I don't get excited. I need a break, and a break for me is not a break from writing, it's a break from the type of horror genre that I write in. So ghosts I'm a big fan of. Ghosts are more difficult to make a series of, because it's usually a start, middle and end in one story. You can obviously have different characters solving different ghost problems, but with the vampires, to be honest, I write if something pops in my head and I get excited about it, and it's sort of, even though they might seem different sort of books, even my vampire books are on the realms of possibility. Not vampires going to take over the world, but it's science attached to it. None of them are supernatural beings. It's all a physical sort of, it's a virus of some kind. It's something the science didn't quite understand, but there's no people turn into bats. Everything is sort of believable, well, to a stretch, you know. But that's why I kind of I'm the only sort of genre I haven't written in yet is a werewolf, and I want to write that one day, and I want to make it non-supernatural. I want to make it, again, a scientific spin on it. But again, I got to get excited about a book, an idea. I've got a backlog of ideas, and I pitch ideas to friends, family, and things like that, and they say, oh, that's a great one, you should write that. But if it doesn't excite me, it's hard to write. You know how hard it is reading a book you don't really care about. Trying to write one is murder, as you probably know. So these ideas put on the back burner. I sometimes use them for other stories. I think, okay, I'll take the guts of that and put it on someone else. But I've got to get excited, and I can't write. So I've written. I'm on Blue Skin at the moment, which is a vampire dystopia. Once that's finished, I'll be taking a break from vampires, moving back into zombies, because it's been a couple of years. I got a good one planned.
Sounds like you really like the idea of that could happen. So you like it to be rather supernatural, scientific, as in vampire could happen, zombies could happen. Was it challenging then, taking on a new genre of horror, going from zombies to vampire? Were there any challenges in doing
that? Well, Blue Skin, for example, the series I'm working on at the moment, that idea came probably about 8 years ago. Not the idea for the series, but the idea of the blue skin and things like that, and the babies getting born, the parents, mothers giving birth to vampire babies. But it was difficult, but it still feels like my type of novel that I write. If you're a fan of my work, you'll feel that you're reading one of my books. And the sort of the horror can be interchangeable, you know. But it is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's completely a teen fiction. It is aimed at sort of grown-ups, but because it got younger characters, it has got a younger appeal as well, in this more dystopian sort of Hunger Games slash, can't think of an example now, but yeah, that sort of young adult slash adult.
And you chose to set Burn the Dead in Bristol instead of Wales. Now my girlfriend's Welsh, so I'm very aware of how very proud Welsh people are of, for lack of a better word, their Welshness.
Yeah.
I was surprised then to find that you had set it in Bristol rather than Wales. Was there a reason for that?
Well, Burn the Dead and 14 Days are both set in Bristol. Now, originally, to be honest, I don't really know why I didn't want to set them in Wales. Maybe I thought it would be cooler to be set somewhere else.
Full of zombies, Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so on a Saturday night. Yeah, and I knew Bristol quite well because I had some friends from there, and I knew the area. I didn't want to. I thought about set in a fictional place, but Bristol was. I wanted to set it somewhere different where I lived, and Bristol was the only city in another country, well, in England, where I knew the place quite well. But again, the street is fictional. But then I thought, well, as you said, I'm very proud of my Welshness, and since Burn the Dead, all my books have been set in Wales. Okay. Burn the Dead 2 is set in Wales, Burn the Dead 3 is set in Wales. Oh, right. So I've got nothing against Bristol, but actually Burn the Dead 2 is partly set in Bristol, but she's from Wales. The third one is set in Swansea. Set in a stadium.
Is it the same characters then, or different characters?
There's crossover characters, but there's three different main characters that it's all intertwined. But all my other books, like Blue Skin is set in Amerford, Burn the Dead 2 is set in Saundersfoot. Yes, I haven't done a fictional town yet. Maybe I'll do it for my next book.
And you're not just a writer of fiction as well, you're a writer of twisted poetry, or so I read on your website.
I don't write poems anymore. When I was young, I always had good ideas for stories, but I wasn't particularly that good at writing. It's something I'd learned over the years, but I had a very good imagination. But so the only way I could get these ideas out sometimes, so people could read them, because I've always been quite a good drawer, and people could just look over your shoulder and go, "Oh yeah, you can draw." But with writing, people have to actually read your work just to know if you're any good, and it's a bit of a chore for some people. You know, it's a bit of an ask for someone to read something. So with poems, it was the easiest way to get people to read my work. I started off when I was 15, and I wrote a poem, but they're always very dark. I say twisted.
Yeah, what was twisted about them? What was dark about them?
They're about death or horror. Okay. Again, not based on any of my childhood traumas, very normal childhood. But I think death and darkness is much cooler than writing about a flower. But my first poem I wrote was called The Sinner. Don't ask me to recite it, I've completely forgotten it, and it's not as good as I remember it. But it's about a guy going on death row, going towards the electric chair. Oh, wow. And he's repenting.
It's when you add that you've kind of got these online or anything, these poems, or is it something you keep to yourself?
No, they are published works, but you're going back to the 90s now, they're lost in time. I haven't got copies of them, but there are about 6 published, all dark. Some of them I just had story ideas, and I managed to put them into poems. Some of them just popped in my head, but I kept the theme dark because I had written so many dark ones that I wanted to put them into an anthology, and it would make sense to keep the theme going. But I don't write poems anymore. And
you've had some short stories published. Is it Dark Moon Digest?
Dark Moon Digest, yes.
An American horror magazine. How did that come about?
Again, like I said, I was banging my head against the wall with publishing. Yeah. I thought I need to put together a CV, and I haven't got a body of work. So I started writing these short stories, one of which was Burn the Dead. Originally it was called Burning Ambition, because in the short story version, it was a twist that he was burning zombies. Initially, you think he just works in the crematorium, and then you realise these things are still alive. So calling it Burn the Dead was a little bit of a giveaway, so I changed it to that. And then I just wrote a few zombie stories, a few ghost stories, and they they got published, 6 different ones, six different places. That sort of gave me the kick up the butt really to keep on going, because it was a quick way to get a bit of recognition, to know that I'm on the right track. Because like I said before, I don't know whether you felt the same as a writer, that sometimes you feel like you're a fraud, and you're like, maybe. I saw an interview online with is it R. Martin, the
George
R. Martin. Yeah. He was talking to Stephen King, and he said sometimes he writes, he stares at the screen and he thinks, I should be a plumber, not a writer. And I thought, it was so refreshing.
I could even be a plumber, that's the thing.
But to hear that, I felt so refreshed. And, good, if you think that, that's fine, Not everyone can, feel perfect like Stephen King can churn out.
And you were traditionally published. More recently, am I right in saying you're more indie published?
Yes, I've got a publisher and I'm indie published.
Okay.
The main reason I'm both is because I'm relatively prolific. I can put about three books out a year. It's very difficult on a traditional publisher, to be able to put out 3 or 4 books a year just from one author, because they have lots and lots of authors. But I got just too many stories to tell, and it's too frustrating. But yes, I'm both.
Out of interest, do you ever read your customer reviews on Amazon?
Well, funny you should say that. I used to read them a lot more. Yeah. When I first got published, they were quite heartbreaking, because you do get negative ones. I don't think anyone's not got negative ones. Some more than others. But it's frustrating, and some of them are quite nasty. So there's a lot of trolls out there.
One question I always like to ask is, what's the most ridiculous customer review that you've ever had?
Well, I got 2 different ones that can come to mind. One is a negative, one was a positive one.
Okay.
So they sort of they balance each other out. One was for 14 days. Not bad. 5 stars. Okay, I'll take that. And the other one was for the same book, actually, 14 days. One was apart from fantastic plot, it was let down by a disappointing ending. 1 star.
God,
I was like,
it's not
okay,
1-star review. That's more a 3-star, isn't it?
3, yeah. And you know what? If someone wants to give my book 3 stars, I'm happy. But because I had that other one, not bad, 5 stars. I think the universe is sort of balanced out. But I've stopped dwelling on them now. As long as I've got enough, as long as I'm pleasing my fans. But one of the things I did as therapy when I first write in it, and I'm guessing you can relate to it, when you first get these 1-star reviews, it does hurt. And you're told, you could have a thick skin, and yes, you do get a thicker skin, definitely. But one of my therapies was, I'm a massive fan of The Office, Ricky Gervais series. Yeah. And I know it's brilliant, and most of the world knows it's great, and it's been syndicated around the world, and everyone loves it, some people don't. I went on Amazon, and I just went to see how many 1-star reviews it had. And it had hundreds, but it also had thousands and thousands of 5 stars. I thought, if that can have lots and lots of 1 stars, then it doesn't really matter. It's always someone's going to hate on what you do. As long as most people like it.
I do exactly that as well. I always look at a big name like Girl on the Train or I Imagine Something, and then look at their 1-star reviews and see if people are putting the same thing.
I did it for Harry Potter as well, and I know most people love Harry Potter.
How can you not love Harry Potter?
And it's got loads of 1-star reviews. So it's just one of those things, you can't please everyone, and I know it's an old cliche, but it's true.
I had one the other day. I got 3 stars for a box set. Someone said they really enjoyed it, but they didn't know it was a box set of 3 books, and then they bought the second one and were really annoyed. I mean, the cover says books 1 to 3. The title says books 1 to 3. The blurb says books 1 to 3. In it is divided with the covers into 3 sections. Yeah. I don't know how I could have made it any clearer.
You've got to make everything very simple, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And then your covers is the last thing I want to ask you about. I love your covers.
Oh, thank you.
They are, I won't say they're better than the book, but I'd say they're close. Do you contribute to your covers being made? Do you get much for seeing it?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't design them myself. I plan them out. I use somebody, a cover designer, very good artist. But what I find is that it takes about 3 drafts of the cover for me to love it. So the first one's like, nah, and I push and push and push, and then I get the cover I want. And unless you push and push, I'm a very fussy person. I get frustrated when it's not perfect, even if the shading's not right, if the wording's a little bit too small. My cover designer probably doesn't like me very much. And I said that from the start when I started working with this guy, he's a very good artist. I said, look, I am a very fussy person, but I'm a very loyal person, and I do put out a relatively decent amount of books. So just stick with me, you know. But trust me, these covers will be the best you've ever done, and you can use them as advertisement. But yes, it's a lot of pushing, but once I know I love it. I do ask a lot of feedback. I've learned that. I used to be like, no, well, if I feel in my heart, but I do ask a lot of people, what do you think? I send the cover out to friends, honest friends. I send it out on WhatsApp, things like that, and I ask for feedback, and I do take it on board. I'm not a proud person. If I send it out to 5 people and they all think it's rubbish, then it's rubbish. Or it certainly needs to be improved, you know. And my wife, again, she's the first person who gets hold of my things, and she's like Sam McCowell. She's so brutal, and I'm annoyed. But then when I sit down, I'm thinking, you know what, she's right. You need an extra pair of eyes. But I'm happy with all my covers, and I think any cover I wasn't 100% with, I've changed them now, and I'm happy with the entire run.
Cool. So what's your next book you have out?
The next book is Blueskin Book 3. I have finished it. It's still being edited at the moment. Still some tweaks to be done.
Do you have a release date yet?
Because I'm an indie author with this one particular one, my release date changes all the time.
This is probably going out in November. Will it be out this month?
November is my idea, but
okay.
I did tell my readers it'd be out by the summer, so you shouldn't really listen to me. But I definitely went out before Christmas, or December, because I needed to be done this year. It just needed a lot more work than I anticipated. Cool. That is a good thing, because I'd never put a book out unless I was 100%. So if it's taken a little bit longer, it's worth it. But it's Blueskin 3, hopefully November, hopefully.
And where can people find you online if they want to know more about you?
Yeah, they can find me on my website, www.steven-jenkins.com. You can follow me on Facebook. I can't remember my...
just search Steven Jenkins.
Steven Jenkins, author.
There's a link on your website, I think.
There's a link on my website, yes, lots of icons. And you can find me on Amazon, and Steven Jenkins. And if you see some creepy looking covers, that's probably me.
Probably.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Thank you very much for talking to me, Steven.
That's a pleasure, Rick.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was my interview with Steven Jenkins. Absolutely lovely guy. I hope you enjoyed listening to it just as much as I enjoyed talking to him. Coming up next month, I have an interview with Sarah England, a paranormal author. And I have an interview the following month with Caroline Clark. So I've got 2 fantastic interviews with 2 women of horror, mainly focused on paranormal. Caroline Clark based hers on a lot of haunted houses, so I'm really excited to edit those together and let you listen to them. Yesterday, this comes out on Friday the 16th, just to let you know, yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of I Have the Sight, which is incredible, really. 2 years and since I've been a bestseller with it and gone full time as an author based off it, and it was my second novel, and it's just crazy to think how far I've gone. So that's that for today. Make sure you tune in the first Friday of December for my interview with Sarah England. Until then, I hope you have a lovely week or 2. Until then, goodbye.